Hi, this is B. Chiranjeev Rao. In this video lesson, I would like to teach about the reflection of waves and the stationary wave equation. See, in case if you consider the reflection of waves, suppose you consider a wave pulse propagating on positive x direction. This is the wave pulse propagating on x direction. So for any progressive wave which is propagating along positive x direction can be represented as y is equal to a sine omega t minus kx. So I consider that this wave is incident wave. So I write here it is incident wave. And suppose this suffers reflection at rigid support. It is at rigid support. This is rigid support. Then it suffers a phase difference of pi. Immediately it reflects back. And the wave is moving like this, and immediately it reflects. Completely turns by a phase angle of pi. So immediately the wave will be reflected back like this. So this is how it is coming back after incident at the rigid support. Sometimes you can consider that boundary as a denser medium. If a wave is traveling from air and immediately suffers a reflection at glass, that means when with respect to air, glass is denser medium, immediately it turns by the phase of pi. So crust become trough, and the net displacement at that rigid support becomes zero. The net displacement at this point is zero. So immediately it reflects back with, let us consider the reflected wave has a sine omega t. Because it is along negative x-axis, we have to write down this as kx plus kx, and it suffers a phase angle of pi. That is why instead of this we have to write down this is pi. So this is the incident wave, and at a rigid support it reflected back by changing its phase pi, and it comes back in the opposite direction, travels along negative x-axis. So yr is equal to a sine omega t plus kx plus pi. Now this equation can be written as y reflected wave is equal to minus a sine omega t plus kx. So this is the incident wave, and this is the reflected wave suffers at rigid support. And now let us see what happens if a wave is traveling and suffers the reflection at free end. So what is the free end? Suppose I make this instead of tide, I just make this very free to move along just a ring. The another end, it is connected to the ring. When a pulse is traveling in the positive x-axis and it moves in the upward direction, it just moves up and comes down and goes back. So in this case, what happens? The reflected wave will be coming back with the same phase. Will be coming back with the same phase. So the phase difference is 0. In the previous case, the phase difference is pi between the incident ray and incident wave and the reflected wave. In this case, you see the incident ray can be written as it is when at free boundary. This is called free support or free boundary. This you can write as free boundary. This is free boundary. Or we can also just consider this medium as rarer medium. When the wave is traveling from denser medium and suffers the reflection at rarer medium. So rarer medium can be considered as equivalent to free boundary, and denser medium can be considered as rigid boundary. So in this case, the wave is coming back and it suffers a phase angle of 0. So now this will become a sin omega t plus kx only. So this is the reflected wave from the free boundary. And now let us see the formation of stationary waves in a string. How the stationary waves formed in a string. What will be the equation of stationary wave? Now, what is the difference between stationary wave and progressive wave? Suppose if you consider a progressive wave, that starts from one point and travels continuously without changing its amplitude with a constant speed. So this will be the progressive wave. In case of a stationary wave, the wave starts from one point and reflects and coming back in the same medium. So this is what is called stationary wave. In this stationary wave, there are two types. One progressive wave moving in forward direction along positive x-axis and reflected back at some support, maybe rigid or free end, and it is coming back. When these two waves superimpose one with other, the two waves, see, you can consider two progressive waves. They are moving in opposite direction with same amplitude and same frequency. As a result of that, they just vibrate with either maximum amplitude or with minimum amplitude. See, these are the points which are having maximum amplitude and these are the points with minimum amplitude. This is what is called stationary wave. The main difference between progressive wave and stationary wave. This is stationary wave, Stationary wave. In the progressive wave, the energy can be carried. It is possible to carry the energy. Whereas in stationary wave, it is not possible to carry the energy. Because the vibrations confined between 2 points, it cannot be carried the energy. This is a major difference between the progressive wave and stationary wave. Now let us see how the stationary waves are formed. If two progressive waves are propagating with same frequency, same amplitude in opposite direction in the medium, and if the two waves are superimposed one with other, as a result of that, the net wave vibrates with either the maximum amplitude or minimum amplitude at certain points. This wave is called stationary wave. Now let us try to get the equation for the stationary wave. So in order to get the equation for this stationary wave, we have to consider one wave which is propagating in the along the positive x-axis. So I write here it is A sine omega t minus kx. This is the incident ray in our consideration. And now there is another wave which reflects at the other end. Say this end is rigid and it suffers a phase angle of pi. So there is a phase difference of pi degrees to that of the incident wave and reflected wave. So the reflected wave can be considered y2 is equal to A sine omega t plus kx plus pi in this case. Now this equation can be written as minus A sine omega t plus kx. Now if these two waves are superposed one with other, we have a principle of superposition. According to principle of superposition, y is equal to y1 plus y2. What is this principle of superposition? You consider any point in the medium where the net displacement y is equal to algebraic sum of the individual displacements of the each wave. That is why y can be written as y1 plus y2. y1 is the displacement of the incident wave and y2 is the displacement of reflected wave at a given point, where the net displacement can be y is equal to y1 plus y2. If you substitute these two values in this equation, we will get y is equal to A sine omega t minus kx plus, because this is minus A sine omega t plus kx, you can write down this as minus A sine omega t plus kx. As we know that the trigonometric function equations, that is the fundamentals that are given, sine A plus B is equal to sine A cos B plus cos A sin B. For sine A minus B is equal to sine A cos B minus cos A sin B. So using these two equations, we apply this, you will be getting y is equal to minus 2a sin kx into cos omega t. This is the equation for the net displacement of the stationary wave. This part represents the amplitude of the resultant stationary wave. So y can be written as some a, which is equal to a sin kx into cos omega t. When we are taking only its magnitude of the amplitude, a cos omega t, where a is equal to amplitude of the resultant wave is equal to 2a sin kx. So again, the stationary wave is executing simple harmonic motion. So the resultant wave is also a simple harmonic oscillator. The vibrations of the particles in that particular stationary wave also execute simple harmonic motion. Now let us see the amplitude of the stationary wave. How the amplitude of the stationary wave changes with different positions. See, in general, let us observe the figure. Suppose instead of a wave reflected at rigid support, what happened? Let us see what happened if the wave suffers the reflection at free boundary. Suppose for this we have to consider a wave is propagating like this. A wave is propagating, but this is not the rigid support, but this is a free end. This is a free end. Under this case, what happened? The reflection will be, the phase suffers will be phi is equal to 0. So what happens now? Here we get a waveform like this. A wave will be like this only. So it just move up and comes down back like this. So this is how the waveform will be formed. In this case, phi is equal to 0. So what will be y1 here? Y is equal to. See, this will be coming back with the same phase. This will be coming back with the same phase. And it will be formed antinode here. It will be formed antinode with maximum amplitude. Now, y incident propagative wave propagation is a sine omega t minus kx, and y2 is equal to a sine omega t plus kx plus, where phi is 0 in this case, because the reflection suffers at free end. So the net resultant wave is equal to y1 plus y2. So if you substitute these two waves, you will be getting a sine omega t minus kx plus a sine omega t plus kx. So in this case, using the trigonometric formula sin A plus B and sin A minus B, you will be getting the resultant displacement y is equal to 2a cos kx sin omega t. So this is the stationary wave equation for a wave suffers the reflection at free end. In the previous case, the wave suffers at the rigid boundary. In that case, this is at reflection at free boundary, free end, and y is equal to minus 2a sin kx cos omega t. This represents the equation at reflection at rigid boundary or rigid end. Rigid end. These are the two types of stationary wave equations which are under our consideration. In this stationary wave, if you observe, all these points are at maximum amplitude. These points are having maximum amplitude. These points are called antinodes. Antinodes. And the points where the amplitude is minimum or 0, they are called nodes. So all the points at which its amplitude is maximum are called antinodes, and the points in the stationary wave where its amplitude is minimum or 0 are called nodes. So this is one node, this is another node, and this is another node. This is how at the two ends it forms the nodes. So you can consider this as a stretched string, a string vibrating between two rigid supports which form a stationary wave. All these points are called antinodes. The distance between the two successive nodes, the distance between the two successive nodes, or distance between the two successive antinodes, is lambda by 2. So distance between the two successive nodes or antinodes is lambda by 2, the half of the wavelength. This distance is lambda by 2. And the distance between the node and the immediate neighboring antinode is lambda by 4. This distance is lambda by 4. The distance between the node and the immediate antinode in a stationary wave is lambda by 4, and the distance between the two successive antinodes or nodes is equal to lambda by 2, half of the wavelength of that progressive wave or wave which is traveling in the string. So now let us see at what points the amplitude of the stationary wave become maximum and minimum. See, now let us see for nodes, amplitude is minimum, that means A to be 0, A is 0. So in order to make the amplitude 0, in the stationary wave equation y is equal to 2a sin kx cos omega t. In this part, 2a sin kx is the amplitude of that stationary wave. So say at every node, the value a must be 0. In order to a 0, the sin kx must be 0. So say sin kx is 0. So for this point, you consider this point. This point on the x-axis, x equal to 0. This point. This is x equal to 0. So very beginning, if you give x 0, you will get sin 0 is 0. So amplitude is 0 in this case. And for the next immediate node form at a distance of lambda by 2. What is the distance here? It is x. X is here lambda by 2. At this point, this is the distance between the two nodes. So the next immediate node is formed at a distance x lambda by 2. So if you give lambda by 2, kx is equal to, k means 2 pi by lambda into x is lambda by 2. Then what happened here? So the kx become here it is pi. This become pi. This is the phase angle. So at x equal to 0 or at x equal to lambda by 2 and then 2 lambda by 2, 3 lambda by 2, 4 lambda by 2 and so on n lambda by 2. For all these positions on x-axis, you will get nodes. See, started from x equal to 0 if you substitute x equal to 0 here, you will get 0 position where amplitude is 0, and for lambda by 2, 2 lambda by 2. Similarly, for all the n lambda by 2, n equals 0, 1, 2, 3, you will get nodes in the stationary wave from origin. You observe from origin. We can also express this in terms of phase angle. See, we have a relation that phase difference delta phi is equal to 2 pi by lambda into delta x. So if x is 0, you just let us find the equivalent position of the in terms of phi, the position of node in terms of phi from origin. So if phi is 0, x is 0, let us see what will be the value of phi. So in this case, delta phi is also 0 at origin. And if you give x equal to lambda by 2, if you give this value lambda by 2, then what happens? So delta phi become, for the second delta x for lambda by 2, delta phi is equivalent to 2 pi by lambda into this lambda by 2. Then what happened now? This is cancelled. Again you will get phi. So at a position phi, you will be getting again a node which is having 0 amplitude. Similarly, at a 2 pi, this is pi and this is another pi, 2 pi, you are getting again a node. This is how at different phase angles you will be getting nodes 0 pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, n pi radians. You will be getting the node. And similarly, let us see at what positions we will be getting antinodes. For antinode, the amplitude must be maximum, that must be equal to 2a. For antinode, the displacement must be equal to 2a. Now let us see the different. See, in case of antinodes, the sin kx must be maximum, that is when amplitude is maximum, that is it must be 2a. So for which we have to consider the from this stationary wave equation, sin kx must be equal to plus or minus 1. See, let us see the magnitude of sin kx, consider is 1. For antinodes to form, this is the first antinode. So at x equal to 0, only node is formed. At this position, node is formed. So there is no provision to form the antinode at the initial position x equal to 0. There is no. Always the antinode forms in a stretched string at the two ends. So at x equal to 0, there is no possibility of formation of antinode. So the antinode, first antinode forms at what distance? At a distance of lambda by 4 from x, the origin. So for every x equal to lambda by 4, and the immediate antinode forms at x equal to 3 lambda by 4 and 5 lambda by 4 and so on 2n plus 1 into lambda by 4. See, this is the first lambda by 4. 1, 2, 3. So after 3 lambda by 4, 4, 5. See, this is 5 lambda by 4. That is how the different values of x, the antinodes are formed. And the equivalent phase, phi is equal to pi by 2 is the first one. This is the pi by 2. And next 3 pi by 2, and this is 1 pi by 2, 2 and 3. So at the next 3 pi by 2 and 5 pi by 2, for all 2n plus 1 into pi by 2, we will be getting the antinodes at different points. This is how you can get the different positions where nodes and antinodes are formed. Stationary waves in a stretched string. Suppose if you take a wire with certain linear density, if you just consider a wire with a linear density mu, linear density, this is what is called mass per unit length. Mass per unit length. This is denoted with mu, total mass by total length. This is what is called linear density. And we consider a wire which is having certain linear density and fixed between two rigid supports. This can be done using a sonometer. There is another instrument, sonometer. In this sonometer, a wooden box, hollow wooden box. It is hollow wooden box. The provision is given with some holes to vibrate air, and a string is suspended. Over a pulley, and the other end of the string connected to some load. And now this is kept on two sliding bridges. So a string is tied at one end, fixed at one end, and passed over the sliding bridges, knife edges, and also passed through a fixed pulley, and the other end connected with a certain load. So this is what is called a sonometer. In sonometer, just imagine these two ends here. Say this is A, this is B, this is C, this is D, this is E. See, the wire is fixed at A, and the two bridges are kept at B and C, and the wire passed through the pulley at D, and the other end of the wire connected to certain load. So this load has weight, and this weight creates the tension in the wire. So just you imagine this sonometer. Here it is B and this is C. These 2 points in the sonometer I just considered here, B and C. And now it has certain tension. I just write down here, tension in the string is equal to tension in the string is equal to mg, and linear density is mu. With these two properties, we just fixed the wire between point B and C as shown in sonometer. If you plug the wire normal to the direction of its length, if you plug the wire normal to the direction of in this direction, if you plug the wire, then what happens? It moves up. Because of tension, it comes back to its normal position, and because of inertia, it goes back. So this is how the wire will vibrate up and down, right angles to that of the length of the wire. So in this case, when it is vibrating like this, it forms one single loop with two nodes, with one antinode. It just, due to the vibrations, when it is moving up, it creates a compression. When it is moving down, it creates a rarefaction. And again it is moving up, it creates compression. This is how it produces sound wave and reaches our ear with certain frequency, and we listen a sound of note with certain frequency. This frequency is called the fundamental frequency of this stretched string with the property tension and linear density. So this will also, this side also compressions, rarefactions, compressions, rarefactions. This is how the sound propagate in the medium and create disturbance and produce a progressive wave. And the waves, the waves traveling in the string are transverse in nature. That is why they are transverse progressive waves, and they just form between two end nodes and which create one antinode. And this is what is called the first mode of vibration in the particular string. This is what is called first mode of vibration. First mode of vibration. In this first mode of vibration, it has only one loop, and the length corresponding to this is equal to half of the wavelength. The length corresponding to this is half of its wavelength. So L is in this case lambda by 2, and lambda is equal to 2L. So in this first mode of vibration or fundamental mode of vibration, and the frequency corresponding to this is fundamental frequency, and this is also called its natural frequency. And we know pretty well that the velocity of the transverse wave in a string is V is equal to under root T by mu. This is the formula for the velocity or speed of the transverse wave in a stretched string is equal to under root T by m. And we know that V is equal to N lambda, and from this we can find the frequency is equal to V by lambda, but V is under root T by m. Therefore, the frequency of this first mode of vibration N is equal to, instead of V you write down root T by m, instead of lambda you write down 2L. So we will be getting 1 by 2L under root T by mu. So the fundamental frequency of this stretched string is equal to 1 by 2L under root T by mu. This is what is called the fundamental frequency of the stretched string when it is vibrating with one loop or the first mode of vibration. And this is also called the frequency of the first harmonic. This is the first harmonic. If the frequency, this first mode of vibration is always called first harmonic. The frequency corresponds to first harmonic. So fundamental frequency of vibration is also equal to first harmonic frequency of first harmonic. So this is all what is called the first mode of vibration in case of a stretched string. Now let us see what will be the second stage. We can also listen with another note with the same length, with the same wire. We can also listen the another note. So the stationary waves in stretched strings. The second mode of vibration, this is the second mode of vibration. The second mode of vibration which vibrates with the two loops. So simultaneously, when you are listening the note, fundamental note, at the same time you can listen the another note which is more than the frequency of the fundamental frequency or fundamental note, and again you can also listen another note which is more frequency than the fundamental frequency. So we can listen with different notes. So all these notes are called overtones. So this is the fundamental note, this is what is called first overtone, this is second overtone, and this is third overtone. This is how we can listen the different notes of frequencies along with the fundamental note. So if the frequency in this case raised, thinner, the most higher frequency. Now let us see what is the frequency of this when compared with the fundamental mode. In this case, just we can also obtain this position by just pressing the string at its middle, and if you just pluck it at a distance of 1/4 of the length from one end with a feather, then you can get 3 notes, one note, second one, third one, and in this case you will be getting 2 loops. So this is what is called second mode of vibration. In the first mode of vibration, we have the first mode of vibration. The first mode of vibration, we have fundamental frequency, fundamental frequency. The fundamental frequency is equal to n equal to 1 by 2L under root T over its mu. This is what is called first mode. And in the second mode, for the same length, length of the string, but this become lambda. This is the complete wave, lambda. So in this case, in the second mode of vibration, second mode of vibration, see the length of the string become, I write here lambda, this can also be written as 2 into lambda by 2. And we know the velocity of sound in a stretched string is equal to under root P over mu. And the frequency corresponding to this, I write here N1. This is N1. This N1 is the frequency corresponding to the first overtone. That is right here. N1 is equal to, you know, the formula V by lambda, from V by lambda. I write here, instead of V, we can write under root T over mu, and instead of lambda, I write here. This implies lambda is equal to 2 into 1 by 2L. So we can write down 2 into 1 by 2L whole root T by mu. This is how we can write down the frequency of the first overtone is equal to 2 times to that of the frequency of fundamental note. So this is what is called the frequency of this second mode of vibration, or this is also called second mode of vibration, is also called first overtone. This is first overtone. This is fundamental mode, note. Fundamental note. And now this first overtone will get as note which is its frequency 2 times more than the fundamental note. That's why this frequency is also called, this note is also called second harmonic. This is what is called second harmonic. Second harmonic. Harmonic. See, first overtone or second harmonic. These two are same. This is fundamental note or fundamental frequency corresponding to this. And now, in the third stage of vibration, it has 1, 2, 3, 4 notes and 1, 2, 3, 3 antinodes. So, if the string for the same length vibrating with 3 loops, it's giving certain note which is more than 3 times to that of the fundamental note. Now let us see how we can obtain this equation of this corresponding to this mode of vibration. So in case of the third mode of vibration, in case of the third mode of vibration, this one, this has how many loops are there? 3 loops. So what is the length of this? The length of this is 3 into lambda by 2. So L equal to, in this case, 3 lambda by 2, or lambda is equal to 2L by 3. The third mode. Now we know velocity is equal to root T by mu. Therefore, frequency corresponding to this, I write here the second overtone. This is what is called second overtone. So I write here N2, frequency corresponding to the second overtone. N2 is equal to, so we know the formula V by lambda. So V can be written as this value and lambda can be written as 2L by 3. So we will be getting 3 times 1 by 2L under root T over mu. So now we can write down this as 3 times to the top the fundamental frequency. So this overtone frequency of this third mode of vibration, or this is also called second overtone. This is second overtone. Second overtone or third harmonic. This is also called third harmonic. This is third harmonic. So similarly, we can also get the frequency corresponding to this is fifth harmonic. This is what is called the third overtone. This is third overtone. Third overtone. Third overtone or fifth harmonic. Fifth harmonic. Harmonic. So the frequency corresponding to this is now N3 is equal to, can write down this, third harmonic or fourth. This is fourth harmonic, not fifth. Third overtone or fourth harmonic. Fourth fourth harmonic, not fifth. So fundamental mode. Next immediate frequencies are first overtone, second overtone, third overtone, and this is equal to the frequency corresponding to this is 4n. So fourth harmonic, what is this? Fourth harmonic. In this case, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 loops are there. So all these overtones will be produced along with this fundamental node. So you can listen. If you consider the frequency of the fundamental mode of this wire, the stretched string is say 1000 Hz. Say if the frequency of this is 1000 Hz, see the fundamental frequency is 1000 Hz, then the all harmonics you can listen. The second harmonic is 2000 Hz, the third harmonic is 3000 Hz, and the fourth harmonic is 4000 Hz. But you cannot listen 1500 Hz, 16,000 Hz, 17,000 Hz. This is not possible to produce in this case. If you want to change the frequency, then what you have to do? You have to change the length of this wire. By changing the length only you can change its fundamental frequency and the frequency of the overtones. So always we can get the integral multiples of the frequencies of overtones to that of the fundamental frequencies. So we can get all the harmonics, first harmonic, second harmonic, third harmonic, fourth harmonic, and so on. So if you observe the relation with respect to the fundamental frequency and the next overtones, we have a relation that the fundamental frequency of the stretched string and the first overtone is to frequency of second overtone, and frequency of third overtone is, and so on, is equal to 1 is to 3 is to 1 is to 2 is to 3 is to 4, and so on. So all integral multiples of the harmonics are available in case of a stretched string. So this is what is the relation for the fundamental frequency and all the overtones of the frequency. In sitara or in violin or in guitar, what they will do, just they put their finger here, they get sa. If you just keep the finger at 1/3 of the length, re, that is how you can change the frequency sa, re, ga, ma, by changing the positions of the length. By pressing the string, you can create a node here. So if you just press here, you will be getting one node apart from these two nodes. So apart from these two nodes, you will be getting another node. So you will be getting the first overtone or the second harmonic. This is how you can change the frequency sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa by changing the position of your finger on sitara or guitar, wherever it is. So this is all regarding the frequencies of fundamental frequency or different types of frequency of overtones. Laws of vibration of stretched string. The first law is law of length. This is what is called law of length. If you observe the fundamental frequency, n is equal to 1 by 2l under root t by t over mu. If you keep the tension and linear density constant, then n is inversely proportional to its length. From this equation, you can observe, if you keep tension and linear density constant, then the relation between fundamental frequency and the length are inversely proportional. So now the law of length can be written as n is inversely proportional to its length, or nl is constant, or n1 L1 is equal to n2 L2. And if you go to the, in this case, T and mu constant should be constant. So how we state this one? If T and mu are constant, then the frequency, fundamental frequency, is inversely proportional to its length. So n is inversely proportional to length. NL is constant. N1 L1 is equal to N2 L2. So the ratio of, once you know the ratio of the two lengths, you can find the ratio of the frequencies. And now let us go to the second law, law of tension. The law of tension means we have to keep the other terms constant. L and mu you have to keep constant. Then frequency is directly proportional to square root of the tension in the wire. So now we can write down here, it is N is proportional to square root of the tension if mu and L are constant. Mu and L are constant. Then how do you write down this one? N1 by N2 is equal to root over T1 by T2. So ratio of the two frequencies can be the square root of the tensions of the two strings. And now let us go to the third law, that is law of mass. If you keep T and L constant, then frequency is inversely proportional to square root of its linear density. So in this case, frequency is proportional to 1 by root mu. 1 by root mu. When L and T are constant. We have to keep two physical quantities constant in order to establish a relation between with the frequency and any other quantity in the right side. So this, from this you can find N1 by N2 is equal to under root mu2 over mu1. This is the third law. And now the third law can be further expressed in terms of its diameter and density. So now let us divide this third law, express this third law, law of mass, in terms of its diameter of the wire, and the density of the wire. Now let us see, the linear density is equal to total mass by total length. And we know that mass can be expressed in terms of, see, rho is equal to mass by volume, density is equal to mass by area into length, and mass by, instead of area, it is pi r square, so pi d by 2 whole square into L, and density is equal to mass by pi into d square by 4 into L, and mass finally we can obtain as pi rho d square into L by 4 after simplification. You substitute this value in linear density, So mu is equal to pi rho d square into L by 4 into 1 by L. Finally, mu become pi rho d square by 4. And now you can write down the fundamental frequency can be expressed in terms of the diameter of the wire and the density of the wire, not linear density. It is the density of the wire. So finally, the fundamental frequency expressed in terms of the length of the wire, diameter of the wire, and the tension, and this is the density of the wire. So finally, we can write down that the equation for the fundamental frequency in terms of the length, diameter, and tension, its density. So this we obtained instead of linear density, and from this we can write down the law of diameter and the law of density. Now let us see the fundamental frequency expressed in terms of the length. This is, I write down here, it is small l, not capital L. This is small l, small l. It is the 1 by LD root T over pi rho. So law of diameter, the fundamental frequency is inversely proportional to the diameter of the wire if tension, density, and length are constant. Length, tension, and density are constant. Then N1 D1 is equal to N2 D2. If the ratios of diameter for a given wire is known, we can find the ratio of the frequencies, fundamental frequency. And law of density. And from this formula, N is inversely proportional to square root of the density. See here, L is constant, D is constant, T is constant. L is constant, T is constant, D is constant. Then N is inversely proportional to square root of its density. Therefore, N1 by N2 is equal to under root rho 2 over rho 1. So these are the laws of vibrations of the stretched strings.